Welcome to Thrones and Scones. It's your weekday morning podcast where we talk about Game of Thrones over breakfast. And no, we have not been forgetting all week. We're on Wednesdays now. We do Wednesdays now. We're all about that hashtag hump day life. We're right in the middle, humping each other, talking Game of Thrones. It's Tony, Hans, and Jeremy in with you. Today, tackling the very latest Season 8, Episode 4. And I have to admit, everybody's titling their reviews like Season 8, Episode 4, and then something that they like deem themselves. So I've seen a few things that I thought were the title of this episode, but I believe if I should have just logged on to HBO again. But again, when I watch the episode, it's not up. I believe the title is The Last of the Starks.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
But I also saw multiple times Dracarys, and I also saw another thing that I can't remember right now, like 2 or 3 times. So I'm like, wait, maybe? Or maybe the people writing the articles are just as confused as I. I don't know. It's Season 8, Episode 4, the penultimate episode of Game of Thrones. I'm sure there's a different word for that, but you get it. Guys, hi. Hello. What's up?
Hey.
Yeah, I don't find out the title of the episode until we start recording this thing, so it's news to me.
It's news to you. Snooze, you lose. Well, Hans is having some internet sickness right now. We can't see his face, but we know he's here in spirit. Jeremy is having some actual body sickness. We can see his face, and we're pissed about it.
Pissed off. I want to crawl
you're feeling
into
rough,
bed
man.
and die. Yeah, so I apologize now. I'll be hacking occasionally during this lovely podcast, which means you'll get to have spikes and microphones.
All good. I will say, I might just cut your audio out completely because, Jeremy, you and I were briefly getting into it here before we started recording.
Yeah, fuck you again.
Excuse you. You have some... Actually, it sounded like a lot of issues with this episode.
Yeah, I am. So here's my thing, and I think I talked about it a little bit before, is the season finale is, like, this is stressful for me. Expectations are, and rightfully so, never going to be what I want them to be, like, and so I take it, like, watching this episode and the decisions they make, when I don't agree with them, it feels almost like they're wronging me personally, if that makes sense. Yeah. And so I'm trying to calm down because there's a lot of really good things. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, this is still a great show, but it felt like a show to me on this episode. Like it didn't feel that epic thing that it has been for so long for me. It felt very much like a TV show, and that was very upsetting.
Interesting. Hans, what are your initial impressions here?
I mean, it definitely slowed down a bit, which is what I was expecting coming off the last episode. I thought it was fine. I'm interested. I think we talked about this with some other, with some of the earlier episodes even, and I think it all just depends on the next 2 episodes. Like, I think
sure.
My affinity for this episode is highly dependent on where they go with it and how they capitalize on some of the choices that they made. I'm not super happy about some of the choices. I would say the general theme to this episode or this season, in my opinion, is just that I feel like they're kind of just making the obvious choices for a lot of things. Like they're not really, which is fine, but they're just not. They're not dazzling by any means, in my opinion.
Huh. Oh my. Here I mean, coming off of our last week episode, which is just an hour and a half of us kind of ranting a little bit, I was looking forward to what I thought would be, where everyone's like, episode was pretty great. I thought it was pretty great.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not on the side that thinks the episode's bad by any means. I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was good. I thought a couple of the moments were really great. I was never on the side that and I'm jumping into some specifics here, but I was never on the side that I wanted Jaime and Brienne to get together or have any of that going on. I liked their relationship prior, when it was more of just a friendship type thing, and it's fine. It's whatever. It's just not necessarily what I wanted. And then I don't know. I just, like I said, I'm just surprised at the magnitude of what's going on, like how far they're taking things and only having 2 episodes left. Like, I feel like they're moving a little slow in the 3 episodes aside from obviously the big episode, which last week.
Okay, let's just go from the top because we have so many things we need to go through. And I feel like to encompass all of the positives, because there's a lot, I wanted to start from the beginning. Beginning, fucking fantastic. Right?
Well, let me give you a little plot cap here.
Let's do it.
Plot recap.
Yeah. Who do we want it from? Let's see. A little.
It's a short one.
Okay, good. A little Justin Timberlake. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Baby, I'm gone.
All right. I
You got
don't
it?
know what he
You got it
sounds
now?
like talking.
Yeah,
so
it's okay.
Gonna
You
have
just got to
be
find that groove and go with the song.
It's gonna. Hey, is he Michael Jackson?
He's kind of.
Hi, it's me, JT. Winterfell recovers. Daenerys ingratiates herself with the Northern Lords. A provision kings landing faces. Invasion. God, none of those
Totally worth
none
it.
of those sentence high points fell in the right place at all.
Totally 100% worth it.
So wait a minute, what happened?
Didn't you hear? Here, I'll just read it for you so you can understand.
Oh,
all
I
right?
got it. I got it all.
Winterfell recovers. Daenerys ingratiates herself with the Northern Lords. A provisions kings landing faces invasion. It's pretty self-explanatory. Oh, yes. Okay, but sorry, Jeremy. Please continue.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that it opens with Dany, and I love that it opens with Jormont and
Jormont.
Oh my gosh, with Jorah.
Jormont.
Jorah.
Oh, what a great name to come with after he's dead.
I have had an obscene amount of over-the-counter cold medicine, as well as some other stuff. But
That's fair.
Yeah, no. So Jorah, I think that was a powerful moment in the last show. Although we had our own issues with how it kind of came apart, but very cool still.
Yeah.
And I like that we're reminded of the connection these characters felt. And I'm actually kind of impressed on how little of pyres there really are, right? Like,
there were a lot of pyres.
I just thought there was going to be
and
so many more.
multi-tier. Yeah.
Just
I
from a
think we
standpoint of
learned-
all,
yeah.
I mean, didn't they burn all of the whatever what were the whites at the time as well?
I doubt. I don't know.
'Cause they all
I wonder
drop,
if they
right?
went through and did like a mass dragon burning of a lot of them or something.
I mean, that's the thing is, like, don't they deserve the respect of getting buried too, burned as well?
Yeah, I don't know. The yard looks sparse of corpses.
Yeah.
Other than those pyres, so they did something with them.
So anyway, I thought that was really cool. I like that we get our characters. I like that we have the connections to the houses and you watching them light. And I mean, and almost immediately there is this continued reminder of Dany's tension with Jon, which I liked actually, because I was like, fuck, this shit's gonna get real this episode. Like, they have got to fucking figure this out. And I don't know if they come to any sort of balance, I think, by the end of the show.
Oh, I think they do though. Balance. I don't know if the right word, but I think they definitely figure it out.
No, I think we know what's going to happen, or we get a sense, but I don't think either one of them is comfortable at the end of this. And I kind of wanted, and I feel that a little disappointing for me. But anyway, so
Interesting.
What do you?
I will
think?
say from the first scene there, something happened that I promised myself, I promised you guys, and I promised everyone listening that I would never ever do again. But God damn it, these show writers know how to pull my strings somehow. I had a twinge of sadness for Theon Greyjoy. It was a nice moment. And I thought they ruined the ability to have nice Theon moments seasons ago. But it was really good. I mean, obviously, we knew it would affect Sansa. I think that little direwolf pin was a very nice touch. Again, I don't want to like it, but I did like it.
So his arc, I think, feels good. Feels book-worthy good to me.
Yes. I'd be interested
And I'm
watching
interested to
it
see.
again, now that I know
If you
how
hate
it
him as much
ends.
as you do.
If I hate it. Because I think what really drives me nuts is they jerk him around so much,
Yeah.
and you never know what's going to happen. Now that we know what happens, I wonder if I can like get through it a little bit more. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a while till I rewatch all of Game of Thrones at this point. I'm exhausted, I'll be honest. In a great way. In a great way. But Hans, any burial? High points, low points?
Nah, I thought it was aight.
That is I. John had a nice speech.
Yeah, I really like that one. He's one of his better speeches.
But still awkward, right? I mean, like, he still pauses in weird moments, and I'm always like...
I think he's just awkward though.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
exactly, which is
know?
which is good. I mean, I don't disagree. I think that it very much felt like he was out there like, all right, I'll give it a John.
I'll give it a John.
This is as deep as I can go.
I mean, hey, as you're saying, maybe they drew some inspiration here because he was kind of sitting out there and he's like, my fellow Northmen, we are here today.
That was great. That's fantastic.
It was. So here's the big question. Next scene, we go into again, still don't know what to call it. Great Hall, I think, is probably it, but I like dining room a little bit better. We go into the dining room. They've made some cake. They've brought up some beer. It's time to celebrate the people who survived and to honor the memory of the dead. And if you caught it, to make sure that we're properly caffeinated enough to film the episode.
Yeah, I did see that one.
Did you see it in the
no.
episode? Because I only saw the pictures of it.
I did not see it in the episode.
I did not see this.
Did not notice until just countless memes and pictures later.
I went back and watched the little visual thing of it. It's not subtle. Like, this Starbucks cup, just hanging out.
Is it in a longer scene or is it just like seconds?
So it's in that scene when Tormund's giving Jon a bunch of shit, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 and like Dany's looking up at him and smiling, but then that smile starts to fade. It's in that scene.
I don't know. I don't remember.
And it's like right in front of
It's
Dany.
I love all the things that people wrote on the cup from Starbucks. Mm-hmm. You know? It's great.
I like the one that was, I think my favorite one is like, we all know who the cup belonged to. And it's like a Starbucks cup. And the whole thing is filled with writing. And it's like Daenerys Stormborn,
Yeah.
the unburnt.
Yeah.
Goes through the whole shebang and ends with drinker of pumpkin spice. It's pretty quality.
how did that get missed?
So here, the best justification I've seen for it is Game of Thrones cinematographer defends episode that people call too dark, so throws a Starbucks cup into the dark scene, and now everyone notices it. He's like, doesn't seem to be a problem. That's not actually what happened.
It's fine.
I don't know how it. I don't know how it got missed. Do you think somebody was fired from that?
No, and actually, I think it's actually
funny.
kind of perfect for the show in that sense.
Or maybe with all this cash they're dropping on each episode, they just needed a subtle plug, get some revenue back.
Maybe that's fair. It was an ad, like a music video sponsorship. They just chugged it in there. Jon and Dany are having their intimate conversation, and she's like, "I wish you had never told me, or at least that you used AT&T high-speed wireless to do so."
Via Hulu now has sports.
So this, it's not a problem that I have with the episode, but I don't understand it. I mean, I get it from what Dany's trying to do. I just don't really think if it's going to do what she wants it to do and what everyone seems to think it will do. Gendry is looking around. The Hound's like, "Oh, you probably just want to get your dick licked," and he's like, "Shut up!" And then he gets up to try and go do that, and Daenerys is like, "Hey, Gendry, what do you want to be Gendry Baratheon, Lord of Storm's End?" And Tyrion points it out. It's like, he'll always be loyal to you or whatever. I get that she's kind of buying him off. I just don't get what Gendry does for Dany. What is the benefit of Gendry to Dany? Because no one knows him. I get the name, like, oh yeah, you have a Baratheon. But you don't know that. You could have picked anybody and said, he's Robert Baratheon's bastard, and put him Lord of Storm's End. I don't understand what Gendry brings to the table for Daenerys.
See, I think it kind of ends that death cycle. I liked that moment, except for the bullshit of, like, her comment to Tyrion of, like, see, I'm clever. It's like, well, no. You don't have to be clever to do this. This was a really nice thing.
I don't think it was a nice thing, because that whole scene following and stuff, she's manipulating, and Sansa knows it.
Yeah, but I don't know why. Why does she need to manipulate?
I mean, I think it's said later in the episode where she's having a very open moment with Jon, where she's kind of letting her ego air, and she's saying, like, people have never looked at me that way up here. Like, she's really kind of trying to put on that scene, you know, doing her toast to Arya and everything. She's cementing herself in the moments of these northern houses.
Yeah, and she's alone. And I think the scenes show that really well, right? I mean, they show groups laughing, smiling, and where she's always by herself. Even when her advisors are near her, they're sitting away from her almost. Not like with a group. It's all very solitary and things like that.
I just, I still don't get it, Gendry. Again, not a glaring error or anything. I just think it's a moment for us rather than a moment that actually makes sense in the show. And I don't have a big enough connection to Gendry to care. But
do you think it was done just mainly just for the next scene with Arya and him, in the sense of, like, building on her character, showing that it's gonna be
maybe
she's walking away from that life?
I mean, they've spent this episode painting Gendry into Dany's corner, and they spent this episode drawing space between Jon and Dany, and more pertinently, Arya and Sansa and Dany. So they could be trying to set them to be at odds with each other, Gendry and Arya.
Right.
But you said, what moment are you talking about, Jeremy?
Yeah. So with Gendry proposing to Arya.
Proposing marriage?
Proposing marriage.
Oh, what?
I mean, and I thought it was fine. I mean, actually, it was exactly what I think the characters would have done that we've been given, right? That Gendry would have taken that moment, which I don't think either one of us ever believed to be a romantic, what Arya wanted. I love you. This is me saying, I want to be together. But more likely hey, this is going to get fucking real tomorrow and we could all die. I want to know. And I'm a woman and I've decided this is something I want to do. I'm going to do it. And I think that was much more powerful in that moment. And then Gendry being a dude thinking, I'm a dude and I have a penis and this is awesome. I want that. And she wants me, obviously, because we slept together. I
got that vibe a little bit. I don't think they're going for I'm a dude, I'm a woman type of vibe. I think it's more of like, Arya's not really a person at this point, you know? She's kind of in Bran territory of enigma.
Right. Yeah, I don't mean to be oversimplifying it with that, but I mean, I just think that Gendry thinks there's more to this relationship and subsequently we get confirmation of that, right? We get confirmation of the fact that Arya's like, look, I'm not that person. I never was that person. I was never the person that was going to marry, Robert's son. I was never going to be that wife, that stay-at-home person. And I love that they actually gave her that confirmation. And I love what the show ends with her, right? I mean, with the direction they're going. I think that's kind of badass as well, and we'll get there. But that one scene from that group, if you will, because there goes off to be a lot of coupling again, right? We get, obviously we talked a little bit about Dany and Jon. We talked a little bit about Arya and Gendry. But we also see another couple go off, which we're going to talk about, Brienne and Jaime. And is that the only one that actually feels good? I don't know if any of them felt good. I liked Jon and Dany's the most. I found that the most enjoyable.
I loved the Arya Gendry moment for the reasons that you were saying. It is the Arya. Not that there were moments or many moments where I didn't like the direction they were going with their character. But this is the Arya that I like. This is the Arya that's my number one right here. This is what she would do. This is how she would act. I thought it was super true to her, but it wasn't cold or anything like that. Like it was a good moment. She knows what she wants. And as you're saying, you know, the direction they're going with her, where she basically has finally a good moment with the Hound as they're kind of trodden off, and alludes to the fact that she's not really intended to come back.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what I was saying, is that, you know, that neither one of them intend on coming back.
Yeah.
Which I think is very anti-hero, if you will, and I love that. I love that neither one of them are placating to the idea that this is going to be that hero's march kind of thing, right? For all they know, they could get 10 feet within where they're supposed to be going to kill whoever they both are going to go kill, which, interestingly enough, you know, we know that the Mountain is also on her list, right?
He is.
So I think the show could be saying, hey, she's going to kill Cersei, but she has many people that she could still kill.
I mean, 2, but yes.
Yes, that's many in my book.
Yeah. The one's got to count for a couple. He's a big dude.
Right. Yeah. He's already died once, so I mean, like.
And he's dead, yeah. What if he would have just turned to bone when the Night King died?
Oh, wouldn't that have been great? That would have been fantastic.
Yeah, so that was... and I love the season 1 callback to Arya's line with the, "That's not me." That was really good.
Yeah, with the conversation with Ned, right?
Yep. Hans, did we lose you, or were you just so taken by emotion from this moment that you don't know what to say?
No, I was just waiting for my cue.
Oh.
Well, buddy boy, take it away.
I 100% agree. I liked the moment. I think it just reaffirms both characters, in my opinion, as far as kind of how I see them and what I like about them. So I thought it was a good moment. I agree that I think that's kind of... I mean, I think it played out perfectly. I think that's exactly what Gendry would do in that situation. And in my mind, I think that's exactly what Arya would do. So I enjoyed that. I loved the Hound and Arya scene. Thought it was great. Love that we get a little nod to what we all want. And that's Hound saying he's got some business to finish.
I saw a thing before the Battle of Winterfell episode. That was a grid of characters ranked on how safe they were, and why, and and it was the Hound was like marked the most safe character, and under the description for why it just said air horn blows in the distance, Clegane Bowl.
We need that.
I'm ready for it.
Clegane Bowl 2019, bitch.
My body is willing. I can't wait.
What if it's just like the lamest fight ever?
It's oof. Yeah. I mean, again, I want to be careful with the predictions because, as we've already established and now reaffirmed, expectations can be a bummer. But I still think Arya's going out to the Mountain, and that'll be
shit. You think?
I mean, they're traveling together now. They're reestablishing that rapport.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Hound has to
do
kill the
something,
Mountain.
right?
Or maybe he doesn't. Again, maybe he doesn't, and that's fine.
What?
I think those characters are going to be connected in death, and it's either going to be Arya's killing the Mountain after the Mountain kills the Hound, or vice versa. I totally agree.
Sure.
I don't know, and maybe they'll keep it going. Like I said, got to be careful with predictions now. I just feel like Arya's kind of had her big moment, right? How many more big? I mean, then it just becomes a story about Arya if she's just killing everyone, which is fine, I guess. But I feel like
if
there's
we had to pick a main character.
Yeah, I guess
there are worse choices.
Yeah, and I'd be fine with it. I just something's got to happen. I don't know. I don't like the idea that the Mountain just kills the Hound after all we've been through.
I mean, it's on the one hand, it's like just from a fandom perspective, if it happens, if the Hound kills the Mountain, people are going to complain that, oh yeah, we saw it coming. If the mountain kills the hound, they'd be like, well, that's not satisfying. Like, I'm starting to think that nobody's going to be happy. Like,
Oh, for sure.
and how could you be? The stakes are so high. We've invested a decade into this, and expectation, bias or not, like, you have a lot invested potentially in this show. And I think, just because we have been very critical of everything, I don't think the show is doing anything bad right now. This episode in particular I thought was great. And also, this show could end terribly. It'll still be a great show. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be bummed if it ends terribly.
Yeah, and I think this season more than any of the prior, and it's probably just because it's the first time I'm watching it, but I don't know. I'm just kind of along for the ride at this point. I'm not I'm being critical on super small stuff, obviously, but I've totally enjoyed all the episodes. I have no major gripes with any of it, to be honest. Just see what happens. One last thing while we're kind of still talking about the relationships kind of theme that they went through in this episode of all the different ones. I've already
Hans, are you proposing to Jenna here on our podcast?
No. I've already said
That was the best ever. That
I've already
was fantastic.
I've already expressed my issues with
J-Girl?
with Jamie and Brienne.
Oh.
You know how I
yeah.
feel about that. So I'm just going to go right past that.
Oh, no, we got to talk about it.
We gotta talk
Okay.
about that.
But I have another relationship comment from a different relationship. You want to go first? Jamie,
No,
Brienne?
go ahead.
All right.
Roll.
Jon and Daenerys. What I thought was interesting about this, and I found it very reminiscent of Daenerys and Sansa, that interaction where it's like, how much is Daenerys, like, I get that she's kind of, opening up a little bit to Jon, and, we're seeing maybe a little bit more of that uncomfortable side of her, but then all of a sudden again, she has this just like switch, and where Jon kind of Jon basically is saying he's not necessarily going to do what she wants. And then you can see it in her face and she turns it off. And it's almost like she's kind of maybe just playing him a little bit. I don't know if it's 100% that. I think she does feel something, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I feel there's some manipulation there as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
I
you
took it
think
more
she
from the
does not love
perspective-
him? Just so I can get the big summary of that statement. Does
think she
Dany
doesn't?
love Jon?
Yes.
I think so.
But Dany loves Dany more than Dany
Yeah,
loves Jon.
for
So
sure.
that's the bigger point. When
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with anything other than just Dany is
Yeah.
trying to get to that throne.
Danye West.
Dany, yes. Dany.
So I love the conversation between Jon and Dany for a couple of
Me too.
reasons.
Me too.
Because my biggest gripe at this point is literally just tell her you don't want it. Like, that's all you got to do. Turns out that's not all he's got to do. They've been having this conversation. We're kind of finding them in this awkward moment where they're not pissed at each other. I mean, he doesn't have any reason to be pissed. She's not pissed at him until the end of that conversation, really. They start making out a little bit. Then they realize their tongues feel a little too similar genetically, and they stop.
You think that's what it
kinda-
was?
Yeah, that's definitely what it was.
I think she bit him. I think she was like, "Grr."
That could be. Yeah, so they back off. They get a little awkward. They're like, I wish you never would have told me, blah, blah, blah. And we get a very open moment from Dany. I think the most open we've got of Dany in the show because it's her being very real about the fact that she's rather selfish and has this egotistical thing. And again, no fault of Dany's. It's the thing she's been told her whole life. It's what she said has been her only desire, her only goal for this entire time. And she has, again, I think she has fallen in love with Jon, but it's not the end all be all to her. And I took the turn off in this moment, like in the thing with Sansa where we have the similar scene and she just goes stone faced at the end of it. I think it's very much she was playing Sansa. Here, I think she's kind of invested in it, and at the end, it was more of her like killing off emotion. I'm not saying like cutting ties with Jon, but it was her like, all right, I gotta be cold, and if he's gonna play hardball, I gotta play hardball. And it was her shutting down a little bit. Could not be. I don't know, but I thought that moment was really cool because it made this weird sort of tension that I kind of thought felt forced, not forced, right. Because they're addressing it. They're not just treating it like this thing that exists in the background. They are talking through it, and it doesn't go away. It very much sticks around. It kind of accelerates in a certain realm of things. So I appreciate that Jon is not going down a path that I was concerned he would, which was going to pit him against Sansa and Arya. I didn't like that. I like what they're doing with him instead, but I thought that the Jon Dany moment was top tier.
For sure. Thought it was great.
Yeah, I think the show tells the audience now in a couple of different scenes, guys, they're not going to rule together. This is not happening.
But did you ever really think it would?
No, but I felt like I just feel like that's a conversation that, like, I feel like so many people wanted, and I felt like the story progressing, like, okay, they're related. All right, so now that should be enough because knowing Jon and then people are like, oh no, what, they still love each other? Yes, they still love each other, but shit is getting real right now for other reasons. And then the conversation with Varys and Tyrion is like they pretty much both say it out loud as well. Of like, yeah, like I would love them to be together and rule together, but she will overpower him, and there's nothing to stop that. And I thought that was one of the coolest parts of the show actually for me is that conversation. I really liked those two together. Varys, we wondered where he was. Holy fucking
Hell
shit!
Yeah.
Like about time, and does a fucking fantastic job in this show.
He is back, baby. He has a purpose. It's seedy, it's underhanded, but I love it. And yeah, Varys finally coming back to the fold here, back in his territory, in his element. He knows what's going on.
Yeah, and I don't actually think it's too much seedy and underhanded. I feel like he's like fucking blatantly like on it of just like, I told you I'd tell you.
To
this.
Tyrion.
Yeah.
To Tyrion.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is a good character development from that. Like, Varys is sharing a lot with Tyrion here.
Right.
Which is cool.
Oh,
Which is
sure,
good.
yeah. I mean, it pretty much ended with, his intentions seem, they're pretty dark. It alludes to some shit, so.
Yeah, I don't, it feels good. I'm happy that they didn't kill him in the last episode so that we could get this moment again. Because we have been wondering out loud what's going on with Varys.
I do find it a little interesting, just from a character standpoint. And I know I don't have any major issues with it because I think that they've made this character to be that. They've never really strayed from it. But I just, I wonder why he's so selfless in the sense that he, everything he does is for the realm. Like, I guess why does he have such a connection with the realm? Or like what makes him so interested in that, I guess. I don't know.
So it might be hard for a terrible person like yourself to understand, but I think like good people care about other people.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, when you say good people, like, you mean like they're good because they're awesome like me, or like...
But that's a good point, actually.
Get it. Yeah. I totally get it, but I would say a lot of people in Game of Thrones are just as good, but don't, he takes it to a whole nother level. Because, it's one of those things, like, so his intention here is maybe, murdering someone for the better of the realm, and not necessarily murdering a bad person, just murdering or getting rid of who he doesn't think is best fit for the throne. And I don't know, it's obviously a very philosophical question of would you murder one to save a bunch kind of thing, but it just seems like he is very skewed to that, to the realm. Maybe it's a no penis thing. I don't know.
It might be a no penis thing. And we were talking a lot about alignment over the weekend. Varys, a pretty freaking shining example of chaotic good. Anyway,
I'm fine with it. Just thought it was an interesting topic.
It's a good point. I think So we have made Varys. We have redeemed him. He's back. He's relevant. The opposite happened with another of our characters that we have been asking what's going on with, and that would be Ghost.
This
we didn't
pissed
kill
me
Ghost.
off.
Confirmed. He's back. He's alive. Jon
Lost an ear.
gives him to Tormund
Like it's no big deal.
to take him north of the wall. And I understand it. But then he just walks away. And by the way, again, I'm not the person to point this out, typically. Ghost looked horrible. I should say he looked like a sticker on the background of the... Like, it didn't look good. I get what they're going for. I get that Jon is trying to kind of... You know, he's conflicted right now, and that is such a shining example of his Stark heritage. And I think he's trying to distance himself from that for Dany's benefit, but also he's trying to come to terms with who he is or is not as a person as far as lineage goes and as far as what he's going to do. And Ghost doesn't fit into that. I get it, but it's stupid.
Yeah. And he doesn't even say bye. He just...
Doesn't say bye. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the last we'll see of Ghost. Which at this point, it's a terrible ending. I don't understand it.
Yeah, why did... So they killed all the other dire wolves, like pretty much all the other dire wolves off, and this is what they end Ghost?
We
I
don't even
get
get
it.
like a Ghost scene where he's just like wrecking, right? We just get him running.
Yeah, we didn't even see him in the last episode, like for more than 2 seconds.
Yeah. And
And
again,
some-
it's
yeah.
not an issue of what they're gonna do. Like, I'm not trying to tell them what to do with Ghost. Just do something with him.
Right.
Or do nothing, but then stop pretending like you're gonna do something with him. Like, leave him alone, kill him off, whatever. Make up your mind.
Do you like that we get Tormund and Sam and Gilly just leaving? Like, is this the last we see of these characters?
Tormund, I think, yes. Because they kind of rounded him out. I think jokingly, they're using Brienne to tether him here. As sort of like, maybe will they, won't they? And they close that out in a way that seems like he kind of moves on pretty handedly. And I think that was a pretty nice way of them saying Tormund's bound for other places. I think we're done with Tormund, if I had to place a guess. Sam, I bet we'll see.
So where was maybe I missed it in the episode. Where was Sam Jr.?
I don't know. Didn't see him. Maybe he died.
Right. I mean, and they talked about her being pregnant, and I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Like, so is...
She's pregnant. So maybe that's what, Jon looks at her and he's like, what? And she's like, oh, no, it's just, that battle was really dangerous, so I shoved Sam Jr. back up into me.
my veg.
It's been harder than we expected to get him out.
Well, it was scary, so I threw Sam at someone.
Jon has such those like kind of dumb moments every once in a while where I was half expecting when I can't remember if it's Gilly or Sam who actually says it, but they say, we're going to name him Jon. I almost expected Jon to be like, well, that's not my name.
Well, which at least they would have known.
Yeah.
Or at least Sam. I assume Gilly. She had half of the equation, right? I liked the little, hope it's a girl.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good line.
Can we jump back to Bronn and Jaime? Or
Oh my
Brienne and Jaime?
god! Thank God.
So, okay. Brienne and Jaime, I've been adamant that I don't want a Brienne and Jaime thing. When they were doing it before, I didn't think that that's what they were going for, and I stand by that. But I think in the last couple episodes, they have built a very nice narrative for the two of them, and it seems fast, but I really liked them getting together. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I was actually very into it.
Interesting. How into it?
Well, pretty, I'd say 2-3 knuckles. It was good. I liked it a lot. I think it was, especially how it ended up playing out later in the episode.
See, that bothers me how it plays out in the episode. Why give us the satisfaction to be like, what the fuck? It's just another step backwards. It's like schizophrenic in
I
the
don't think
same
it's a
episode.
step backwards.
Oh,
I think he's old yellering her. I think that this is or not old yeller. What's the? No, not the dog. He's not shooting her.
I was like, you mean like
take her out of
Harry and the Hendersons. Harry and the Hendersons. He's doing the whole, can't you see I don't want you? He's leaving that bad taste in the mouth so that she can go on and do her thing. I don't think he's going back to protect his sister. I think he's going back because he knows he's got to stop his sister. Still adamant that Jaime has not turned. I understand where they're throwing that vibe in, but I didn't get that. I thought that they were going for I have to go do something. I came here thinking I would die, thinking that this would kind of be done for me. And no. And I think especially because Bronn shows up and is basically letting Jaime know, hey, your sister's paid me to kill you. That was kind of nail in the coffin for Jaime. He's like, okay, I don't want to do this, but I have to. And he knows it's not going to end well. He knows he's probably not going to come back from it. And so rather than leave Brienne with that, he did I've always found the thing stupid from a personal perspective because it was something that I would never think to do to a human being. But I get hey, I'm gonna leave you like the bad guy so you can move on.
Yeah, I think I kind of like the idea of the whole like Brienne. Oh, actually, come outside quick. I have a little surprise for you. I was like, the good old yeller treatment.
The old yeller. But you didn't like it, Jeremy.
Yeah, no. I mean, so I, of course.
I feel like you were the biggest proponent of this, Jeremy.
Yeah, well, so no, I'm a proponent of them. I liked their relationship. I liked that. I don't know. There was something about that kind of romance, but wasn't. And I love the way you guys are always like, nah, no, it's not like real. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want it to be sexual. I want it to be that respect, that love, that admiration, that I get, you embody what it means to be a knight, to be a good person. I've forgotten that, and you've shown me that back. And I care for you because you've allowed me to be me again.
I think that they very much alluded to a deep connection for Jaime in particular with that scene that's kind of a counterpoint to a couple episodes back when Arya and Gendry hook up, and it just shows Arya and she's just kind of lying awake and she's pondering battle, or she's just going like, yeah, that was all right, whatever she's Jaime was very much the awake one here, and he was just kind of staring at her, and there was a lot more in his eye. I think that they were very much going for the fact that he was in love with her.
No, and I mean, I definitely think that's the way it went. I said I was kind of surprised how that grew so quickly, and I'm not.
Yeah, it was fast.
I guess it bothers me because I still don't like the way it ends. I mean, I understand your point and what you're explaining to that's the way direction you think it went, but I really felt like after everything that they could have done, it was just kind of like I don't know, an odd decision.
I stand by what I said about this relationship. Didn't want it. Didn't care for it. However, I did like all the scene, or the kind of the major scene leading up to it. Actually, I liked all the Jaime and Tyrion interactions. I thought they were great. Good. And I liked the Jaime, Tyrion, and Brienne kind of game. They go back to that game that Tyrion likes. But I thought all of that was great. And I kind of knew where it was going once that started. But again, didn't really want it. Not upset about it. Just didn't want it.
Fair enough.
Did you like Bronn coming back?
No. Hated it.
No.
Me too.
How did he get in?
Yeah, exactly. Carrying that giant crossbow that he reloads amazingly fast, by the way, seeing how you have to step on it on the ground to reload an arrow, yet he can do it while sitting at a table? No,
I think there was a scene of Joffrey talking about that crossbow where it's different and new and you can reload it faster. I think he shows Marjorie that you don't have to do that.
Oh, see, I thought it was.
Yeah, there's
wrong.
No, I think you're right. There was something about it.
But I will. So I didn't love that they threw him in there. It seems stupid for him to be like, "Hey, your sister paid me to do this thing. I'm not going to do it as long as you do better." Blah 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 blah. And then he just kind of lets them go and leave. I thought it was stupid. I didn't think it made sense. my heart did jump when he fired that arrow. I thought I panicked.
You thought Jaime was dead?
I thought he was fucked. Just because it was such a moment of a callback to that Tyrion Tywin thing, where he's just say whore again, and he did, and he just shot it instantly. You don't have any time to process it. He just gets shot. And so I thought that they were going to maybe just do something like that. I actually audibly gasped, and then he was fine. But
I get that they've always played Bronn out to be this type of person, that he's really in it for himself and everything. But I got to think that there was some sort of friendship between him and at least Tyrion, right? And it just seemed a little quick. I expected this interaction to go much differently. I expected it to be, at least from my perspective of the characters, I expected him to show up and be like, hey, your sister told me to kill you guys. And kind of almost more of in a friendly conversation, kind of joking about it. And maybe then asking for more stuff because that's his character. It just seemed weird that he went all basically just
punching
complete
him in the
a-hole.
face and an asshole.
It's gotta be a play or something by Bronn, because he only wins if Tyrion and Jaime win and stay true to their word.
Yeah.
Because if Tyrion and Jaime win, he can't go back on that. Cersei can't pay him. If Cersei wins, Tyrion and Jaime are dead, and he can't win from that. So the only way he comes out ahead here, getting what he wants to get, is if these guys stick to their word and do what they say they're going to do and survive to do it. And I think that he knows that. And so looking at this as more of a way of him coming to say, I'm not going to do this, but you owe me, because these guys do owe him a lot. But I thought it was stupid. I thought it was, they just threw him into a situation he had no right being in. And with all the progress we've made with stubborn-ass characters like Bronn and the Hound, it seemed like a big step back.
Yeah, it really did. And even when he's been stubborn in the past, he's always kind of had more of a carefree,
witty,
way to do it. Witty. He was just a dick. He wasn't even enjoyable or funny or anything. He was almost just a villain, which was weird.
Which was odd, exactly.
And he's always been likable, and he just wasn't likable, which was that was my least favorite part of the episode.
I feel like maybe the writers were told in the book maybe of what he does. So I was wondering that when I read that Martin kind of gave in cliff notes of how all the books were going to go, and maybe these jumps are just the writers trying to fill gaps, because some of these progressions, they seem so out of character and quick. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? But I'm like, oh, maybe this is happening because this is the only way they can get to that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
potentially.
But yeah, and I liked Bronn. Bronn was always one of the. I mean, he still gave me a couple what is it, mounting shoes and a couple guys, and I'll impregnate that bitch. Best line in the show for me, one of the best lines. And
he's been even last season he was kind of meh, didn't care for him.
But he saved Jaime, and
I'm sorry. You're right. That did happen last season.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just really this season.
Yeah. And they kind of when they went to King's Landing and he's like, I'm just going to stay here and drink. And they're like, okay, cool. Peace out.
Yeah, whatever. But
it's why not take him north? I don't understand. Why not take one of the best fighters in the show that we've known north? So.
Well, I buy his not wanting to fight the dead. And I buy him not wanting to get involved in Dany's war. But I can't buy that and then at the same time think that he's just this terrible cutthroat dude.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Because the only relationships we've even really seen built with him are with Tyrion and Jaime. And they were mostly good. So
yeah. Very good, really. Yeah. Anyway, so back in Winterfell, Jon and Daenerys have their heated conversation. She basically gives him an ultimatum. There's a way we can make this work. It's by keeping it quiet. He says, I gotta tell my family. And she says, don't. And then he does. Which again, I love that we're just getting to this. I love that this isn't wait another episode for him to come around so that we get another moment of, my name is Aegon Targaryen. He has Bran tell Arya and Sansa. We kind of get their reactions to it. And something I very much did not expect and didn't know how to feel about it in the moment. Kind of like it a lot in retrospect from her character perspective. Sansa spills the beans to Tyrion pretty immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
Swears herself to secrecy. You can see the gears turning where she doesn't want to betray Jon, but she really does think that Dany has some problem here. And I think her and Tyrion have had these moments. Last episode she said it wouldn't have worked between us because of, your loyalty or whatever. And I don't know what's changed there. Maybe she's seen more into Tyrion. Maybe she's giving him a little bit more credit. But that whole, what if there was a better choice, was a really cool seed to plant.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the best meme I've seen recently for that specific thing was, don't tell anyone. And Sansa's looking up and she has a group text open.
Yeah. I haven't seen that, but that's
and I was
great.
like, she's like, oh no, I promise.
But this is the shit, like, I love most of where Sansa's at for the past couple seasons. My biggest gripe is when they were trying to, like, even the tension between her and Arya I got. My biggest complaint was when they were pitting her against Jon for a bit, where they're like, when Littlefinger was still involved, and granted, we don't know how much of that was show, but they're kind of playing like, oh, Sansa's got these aspirations to rule and stuff. I think that really put a nail in here. Where she's like, what if there's a better option? I want my brother to be safe here. I want my family to be safe. This is not about her. And the fact that she has made those leaps, and we get the moment in this episode where Tyrion and Varys are talking and they say, like, have you ever considered that that's who should rule, somebody who doesn't want to? I think reaffirms my thought that maybe we're going to get some Sansa on top action at the end.
Maybe.
It would be... I think we're going to get rulers that we don't expect. I think it's going to be good for the show. And I think and hopefully it's the people we see coming. Varys always makes his comment on who he's for. It'd be interesting to see if he tries to sit on a throne at some point.
No. Varys doesn't want it. And beyond that, I don't think he would do. He knows that he can't do it. They had that conversation previously. You got to have all these factors, and he has none of them.
Yeah.
But just to clarify here, you think it's both going to be somebody that we see coming and something we don't expect?
Yes. So it's someone
Okay.
we see coming, but we don't expect them because we know their name, so we know of them.
Sure.
You know what? And we don't see. You know what it is? It's like that time when you're driving and like there's the light that turns red, but you swear it was green, so you trickle through. That's exactly what it's like.
So the end of the show is going to be a crime?
Yep. Like,
Okay.
Like a really obvious one, but you didn't see it until it happened.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then you're like, that's
the crime.
That's a misdemeanor traffic ticket.
Yeah. That's running a red light.
Yeah, and I don't think a single other thing even happened in this episode. So
not a thing.
It feels good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. They make plans. The Hound and Arya trot off. Jon's army is a bit far behind, but they're on the way. And then, Dany's headed down to Dragonstone. Maybe this was in a dream. I watched it so close to going to bed. There was a moment when Dany got to Dragonstone where, if I'm correct, we lost another dragon in a moment that I could see coming from the second that Dany was smiling, flying, and looking at Rhaegal with this like pride.
And interacted with Rhaegal more when they were on the ground initially as well.
Yeah. That was good. So I knew the second we're in this scene, I knew something was going to happen, and it kind of played out pretty much like I imagined. But it was so heartbreaking. It was really sad.
Holy shit. At first, he gets the one arrow in the chest, and I'm like, oh shit. And I was like, but he could probably survive this. Gets a fucking another arrow in the chest, and I'm like, okay, there's still hope. And then fucking through the neck.
Through the neck and the face.
I'm like, dear Lord.
Yeah, I did
like,
not
oh
like
my
that.
God.
I will never watch that scene again, probably.
It was really, I mean, it was great. It was well done, but God, it was sad.
It makes me want her to get revenge. Like, it makes me want her to go full tilt crazy, when I see that.
Well,
shit.
she had the one moment where she almost did dive bomb kamikaze, and she pulled up. She saved herself at the last second there. And then, holy shitballs, her fleet gets wrecked. These things are deadly. These little ballista scorpion things. Wreck. Fleets, like her third fleet is now screwed.
Yep.
She goes, this bitch and her ships. And then you get a bunch of people washing up on shore, except for Missandei. She's nowhere to be seen. And then, boom, boom, boom. Then we kind of go back to Winterfell. I actually get the moment with Jaime. But we already talked about that, where he goes south, and he says, I've got to go. My sister, here's all the terrible things that I've done. My sister's hateful, so am I, and leaves Brienne crying. Another very sad moment. Again, I think it's a little bit more than meets the eye. I don't get the whole 5-step backward vibe from Jaime. They could be going that way.
They've done it before.
They've done it before. They have done it before in worse ways, so it's not impossible. But then it's time to meet at King's Landing, which they appear to have some new gates. I've never seen these gates before.
Okay, thank you. Because I was like, where the fuck are we? Like, what is this?
Yeah. When Cersei's looking out the window, and I was like, what are you looking at? I was trying to figure out where they were hiding, because this is right after the Euron thing. This is like, maybe they're tricking her. They've gone somewhere. Where are you? And no, they're just in King's Landing.
Yeah.
It looks very different. Which fine. I guess we haven't done much at the gates. Fine, fair enough, but it was a bit much.
Even the scene from like looking at the gates when she was up there, you don't even see King's Landing in the background.
No.
It's bizarre.
Very odd.
And we've
And then what a
seen like
small
full
army.
We've seen like full pans of King's Landing.
Yeah. And
You
the
know what it looks
castle,
like.
if that's where she was at, is in the very back. So you would have to see the whole city to see the gate.
Weird.
But maybe this is a different gate. I don't know. But Dany and like 5 people march up to the gate. Seems really fucking stupid. But they have another little treat moment with Cersei. You think that they wouldn't trust her to do that. Somehow they do, and everything goes okay. Even though in that moment, what would be preventing Cersei from killing everyone?
That's
She
what I was
has
at.
these dragon-killing weapons that just proved incredibly effective.
That's what I was wondering the whole time. Like, Cersei has no reason to leave them alive. And there's nothing that they're going to be able to do. I don't know.
Yeah, and like how like there's 4 of them on the front of this as they're all staying out there, and like Dany's completely unprotected, and I'm like, why not just shoot some bolts at her? What are they gonna do?
Yeah, maybe they're out of range, but they don't look it. Yeah, don't really understand. But whatever. I'll suspend my disbelief, I guess, for the moment we get with Tyrion yelling at Cersei. All this. I love the idea of Cersei, because it's such a good Cersei move of her just filling the castle with people, knowing that they're going for this more White Knight approach with Dany's takeover, knowing that they could have just burnt the city down at this point. And so she's just kind of doubling down on that. She's like, hey, you want to get to me? You're going to have to play my game. You're going to have to play dirty. And, I mean, I think Dany's about ready.
Yeah. I did like that. I like when Cersei says too, she goes, leave the gates open.
Yeah.
And so it's good. Good move.
She's diabolical in this. This is the Cersei I love. Again, to hate. I honestly didn't even mind Euron so much in this episode. I think
that's because we just barely got him.
Well, yeah, that's what I want.
But to be honest,
but I'm saying he was on screen, and I didn't wish constantly that someone would just stab him through the heart.
I see.
Like that moment where he was firing on the dragons and stuff, and First of all, I've never really given credit to how much this guy looks like Theon. The resemblance there, especially in that scene when he's like looking up at the dragon and smiling, he looks a lot like Theon. So the resemblance there is really good. But then I liked that. I thought he did well there. Maybe Rob's getting to me. I don't know.
Like for me, I'm gonna enjoy his death.
Oh God, yeah.
Right. And I think they've built enough anger for us that we're just gonna live it.
Now, they didn't give a nod to it at all in the show, but I am believing that if they wanted to, they could pit Euron against to Cersei, because we get this moment early on where she tells him she's pregnant, and he gets all happy and beaming with pride, and then we get the Tyrion moment where Tyrion says, surrender for your baby, like you and your child can live, and is kind of prodding Cersei emotionally. But Tyrion would have no way of knowing about that baby. And I mean, when Cersei told him about it, it was, Jaime's baby, which it is Jaime's baby, or it's at least not Euron's baby, if they're making a different twist with that or something. So wouldn't Euron realize that? He's like, wait. You haven't seen her in months or however long it's been. Timelines are tough. You wouldn't. I just found out today. You would know about this baby. So maybe Euron knows Cersei's playing him.
Maybe. It's a good. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah. Well,
smart.
I'm a lot better at this than you.
I believe it.
I
think that's well established.
True story.
I've seen the way that people look at you, and they don't look at me like that here. So I love all of this stuff. I love all this tension, this craziness. The dragon died. God, that was heartbreaking. And then the fact that Qyburne's just like, surrender or Missandei dies. And then they just did it. Like, people talking about this season isn't Game of Thrones. That's 100% Game of Thrones.
That felt so much. Felt right. Felt Game of Thrones, for sure. Agreed.
And talking about twist again. So again, a couple dark Dany moments in this episode. Not subtle at all. That's the biggest one. She turns around. She's absolutely fuming, freaking out. And we also get a very emotional moment, no surprise, with Grey Worm, who I think could go in one of two ways. First of all, he told her to get to the skiff. That ended up in her being taken. He could blame himself. I think that's probably the way they're going to go. But he could also blame Dany, and this could be an excuse to kind of get him turning. We've already seen Varys and Tyrion having some questions, and so if this alternative presents itself, Grey Worm's somebody that I would have thought would have never gone with Dany. But as we were talking about before in our predictions or conspiracy theories, they've made multiple moments in the show to say, hey, you're here of your own free will. If anyone ever wants to leave, you leave, like blah, blah, blah. And no one's ever done it. And I think that it could be an interesting move if they wanted to set up Grey Worm to kind of turn tail.
For sure. Also a great point. Killing it today, Tony. Killing it.
Oh, don't stroke me too much.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole Grey Worm thing. I think we all knew that wasn't going to end happily.
No.
I kind of just wish she would have lived.
Missandei?
Yeah.
I thought it was a good. I liked
it.
Her loss.
I liked it, but I kind of just, yeah.
Great Game of Thrones moment, but yeah, total bummer.
Yeah. No. Again, so there were highs and lows for me for this show. I like the way it ends. I love the desperation. I feel like one dragon is enough, because I think we all felt like all the dragons were going to die by the end of this. I think it'll be interesting to see if Drogon makes it out of next episode. I think that would be awesome if he does.
I mean, these guys seem to be very good shots with these scorpions, but for some reason, Drogon just repels damage.
Yes.
From arrows, from scorpions, from the Night King's magical
from
aim.
Like 100 people stabbing him while climbing on him.
Yeah, the dude is resilient, so you never know.
And just to point out, I may be wrong here, but I think all four of us, Jenna included, had Missandei living. this season?
Let's jump back. Let's find out. One person had Missandei dying.
Oh,
So I don't, but that could have been Rob. I don't know who it was. Again, it would be a really long list if I wrote down who voted for what. But yeah, so can we go through do you guys want to do a quick mid-season check-in?
I think
how
we
we're
should.
doing?
Just real quick.
Yeah, real quick. So I'm going to run top down and see who's actually dead. We have lost Theon. That was 3-2. So I'm going to give that a little check. Correct. We nailed Theon. We have lost Jorah. Wait, what? We all had Jorah living. That doesn't sound right.
That doesn't sound right.
Literally 5-0. We had Jorah surviving.
Did we mean Jorah survives the battle? That's what
No,
I was.
this was the
this was our
season.
predictions for the end of the
Oh,
season.
oh, fuck, man, that's not.
Which is interesting because in the predictions for the battle, Jeremy, you did vote for Jorah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's rough. Missandei, yep, we were wrong about that. The Night King, we were 5-0 correct about that.
Yeah.
Ding. Lil Sam, the jury's out there. He might be dead. He might be hiding in a vagine. I don't know. Rhaegal, 4-1. I believe Jenna was the one that had Rhaegal alive.
Yeah.
But we're correct there. Ghost, still kicking. We can't close it out yet.
What was our vote on Ghost?
4-1 dead.
Oh.
I'm sure Jenna was the alive one there. You can't kill the puppy. She's too sweet.
Yeah.
Lyanna Mormont, 5-0. We had her surviving.
Yikes.
Not great there.
And to be honest, I
Barrack,
think her death has been one of the better deaths.
it was good.
It was a good death. It was. I agree with Tony though. It was not a Game of Thrones death though.
No.
It was very much. Yeah. It was very much a fantasy
Fan service.
like fan servicey death for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
But
I still
I
liked
liked it
it.
from her. They still killed her, which
Yeah.
I mean, I think we overlook that. Like, if this was Lord of the Rings or something, like, you would have never had a giant crush a child.
No.
It's true. It's a good point.
No.
Yep.
Barrack, we had 4-1 dying, so we're right there. Melisandre, 5-0 dead.
Did.
So we nailed that. That's it. So we have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I guess Ed isn't on this list. We didn't put down Ed. We didn't care. But he's dead. Poor dead Ed. And that's it. That's where we're sitting so far. So thus far, it looks like we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 correct and 3 wrong. But they were pretty wrong. So take that with a grain of salt. Oh, anything else from season 8, episode 4? No good, bad, juggling moments.
Yeah. This season's been a little rough for the
No undead titties. We didn't even get to see Brienne titties.
GBJs.
Yeah, the Jeebs. The Jeebages.
The Jeebjes.
But we do have scones. We always have scones. You can come to expect it from us fine folk here. And I don't even think I said it at the top. Hans has the scone today, and there was no mind made up about which citrus fruit to use, so they used them all. It's a lemon, lime, orange scone.
Tis.
And how tis?
It was pretty good.
So
You can
was
find
it
us at
was it a lemon lime
thronesandScones.com,
scone with
where you can
orange
find
in
all our
it,
social
or was it like
media
an
links,
orange
our
scone with
links
like
to
lemon
download,
lime on top of it?
episodes and
I
things
feel
like
like
that.
what's like wedges of fruit
He's just
inside?
doing this to piss me off at this point to try and talk
because
over me.
nom,
But
nom.
we will see you
I am
next
talking over
Wednesday,
you.
of course,
Fuck
for season
you.
8,
Fuck
episode 5, Untitled. You down with GOT?
you.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah. So the scone, actually, I am intrigued. Do break it down. What was it?
So there was really no. I was and again, I don't know if it was just rind in there, because there was really no chunks of any flesh whatsoever.
Well, you could do it orange, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, because I feel like
Cook well.
I feel like I've had. Maybe I'm mistaken, but but I feel like I've had some more citrusy type fruit scones in the past here, which have been a little more fruit heavy. This was very subtle.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was the citrus. If you would have given me the scone and didn't tell me what flavor it was, I probably would have, maybe guessed a little orange or a little something. I would not have guessed lemon, lime, orange.
Well, that's so. I don't think you could ever possibly pick out all three of those. Like,
Yeah, but I'm saying I would have even been like on the fence about the citrus. It was not citrus heavy.
damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
That's
was not
surprising because the citrus scones that I have had, my complaint is always it's a bit much.
Yeah, no, super subtle. It was pretty good. But I think if you had a real sweet tooth, you wouldn't have been a fan. It was pretty plain.
Interesting. Where was it from?
Outpost Grocery.
Outpost Grosh.
Curious, we didn't even talk about it. Favorite part?
Oh, you're right. The Starbucks cup, obviously.
Yeah.
My favorite part, it was Rhaegal. I mean, I hated it, but like, it was the best part.
It was hard to watch. I think, that was really good. I think I have to go. I think, other than the fact it looked nothing like King's Landing, I think I do like the ending. The Missandei scene just felt so Game of Thrones to me.
Yeah.
It was good. I
yeah.
think that was my favorite part. Again,
And
huge bummer.
Yeah, huge bummer. I think this is already playing into the thing, like, because my concern was they don't know, tonally what to do from here. And I said, well, it could be, now that we're pitting these main characters against each other, that whole everyone is safe thing goes away real quick. And that seems to be coming to fruition. Because
sure.
people are dying. And dragons are dying.
Like, my favorite part of the show wasn't... I mean, I didn't like the way Jaime gets there, but I love that we have this tension of characters traveling to die, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Jaime, Arya, the Hound.
Sure.
Like, they all essentially are saying, I'm going down there to die, but I'm going to kill someone. And I love that.
That's a great point. Yeah, there's... That moment with Arya was also on my top, because we've had such we've just been begging her and the Hound to have just a little bit, and that was just a little bit, but it was pretty perfect.
It was.
Yeah,
and
it
I
was
like
really
his
good.
statement. He's like, you're going to leave me wounded to die?
Yeah,
Probably. I was
He
like,
laughs.
yes, you are. And I love that he smiles, which, because there was the whole the Hound and Sansa thing. I didn't get that part at all. Like, I didn't find
Didn't
that.
get it?
What?
You didn't get it?
Well, I just didn't like it. It's like, he's like, I could have saved you from being raped. And she's like, yeah, but being raped made me me. And I'm like, really? Raping you made you you? I don't know.
Totally did. I mean,
I don't know. I didn't care for it.
I
didn't care for the Hound thing with it. It just didn't need to be there.
liked the moment with Sansa of her whole, it's what happened to me that made me who I am,
Right,
for better
right.
or for worse. Like, it wouldn't have happened without everything that went down. I kind of liked the moment, because I think we forget how much the Hound and Sansa kind of had.
Yeah, he protected
This
her almost
connection.
as much as he protected Arya.
Yeah, and that has just kind of, we haven't had a little rekindling there.
Right.
It was fast. It was interesting.
I kind of forgot about it, to be honest.
Yeah, it was, in the scheme of what happens before and after, it was forgettable.
Yeah, no, it was thinking of the Hound and Arya, and I'm like, oh, also the whole Sansa thing, so.
I thought it kind of fit because it seemed relatively natural. Like, that's, they haven't seen each other in a long time, and that's probably what he would say. Like, he's
Yeah.
kind of just that character that he would be like, oh, if you would have just came with me, none of this would have happened. Like, it just seems pretty natural, but I didn't mind it.
So, on the topic of people going to die, what, if you guys had to say Jaime's motivations right now, what is Jaime going to do? He's going south, obviously, right? Like, he's going back to King's Landing, for sure.
Next scene, or next episode, it just starts him up in the north with the wildlings and
Yeah.
Ghost.
And Ghost.
I want to say that he's going to try and talk sense into Cersei, or maybe he's finally realized he's just got to, put an end to her. But I don't know. I also would not be surprised if they just fucking went back to his old ways and made him,
No.
go right back to Cersei. I really hope not.
I could buy that they get, maybe that's where his head is at currently, but I think once he gets there or something's going to happen, there's at least, if he's not going with malicious intent, it's going to turn that way. It has to.
For sure.
Well,
What do you
was
think?
in the North fighting for the living, right? The living won. So now he's going back to fight with his family.
That is true.
What do you think he's going to do when he sees, because he doesn't know about Cersei and Euron, right? Or does he?
I don't know.
He's not going to be happy about that if he doesn't.
No, he knows he knows that they were betrothed because Euron had that moment of what does she like? A finger in the bum?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But I don't think he would know that she's telling him it's his baby or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I don't think Jaime thinks that he's going back down to a welcome either, right?
No, he just found out Cersei wants him dead.
Well, yeah, I know,
yeah,
but
so
I mean, I don't. So he's got to be going down there with the intent of doing something.
I'm hoping so. Yeah, we'll cross our fingers for some good stuff there. Yeah. Hans, I was a little disappointed. This whole time, I was expecting to be talking over the sweet, sweet sounds of your neighbors fucking.
Yeah, they.
What?
It must only be a during the day thing, early morning thing.
You have screamers?
No, it's just there's some construction upstairs, and we had alternate theories.
We're playing Overwatch for a number of hours this past weekend, and it's just this constant, very arrhythmic, boom, 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 very, just the most staccato intercourse ever.
And then rapidly, boom, 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 boom.
And then it did stop for a long time, and then it just started back up for a few minutes. It was great enjoyment, and I was hoping we were going to get it on the podcast to immortalize it, but alas.
Unfortunately, no.